If you're a longtime viewer of this channel, then this video may come as a bit of a shock to you. Trust me, it came as a bit of a shock to me as well. You could read the title of the video. To me, the best Pixel experience right now is to be had on the Google Pixel 6. Strange, I know. We're over 400 days later after the phone was released, and I could say that right now, the experience that I'm getting these past few days on the December security patch for Android 13, that was the experience that I thought we were going to get on release in October last year. That's what I was expecting. Just a unified, clean, smooth experience with excellent battery life and good performance. That's what I'm getting right now on the Pixel 6. When I did the Google December update video, I focused on the 7 Pro. But when I was reading through, and I think I even said it in the video, when I was reading through the changes, I said, geez, a lot of these seem targeted at the Pixel 6, or at least problems that I had regarding my Pixel 6 usage, some of the few things that were left. When I did my last video on this phone, back in, I think it was October, right before the release of the 7 and the 7 Pro, I did say that a lot of the stuff was cleaned up. Android 13 was running better. There wasn't anywhere near the problems that we had on release for the Pixel 6. But there was still something missing. I still was welcoming the 7 with open arms because it still felt like there was more to be done here with this device to get it to the place that I thought it should be at. Now, I can say this is absolutely complete. I am getting a great experience. So let's talk about what's going on. Number one, you don't get the voice cleaning and the VPN and some of the other stuff that came out for the 7 and the 7 Pro specifically. They're claiming that's Tensor 2 stuff. Yeah, I don't know about that. I think that's stuff that could trickle down to the Tensor first generation. Voice recorder you do get, so it can differentiate between people talking if you're recording an interview. But the big one for me was basically these fix for issue occasionally delaying when the fingerprint icon is displayed on the lock screen, fix for issue occasionally preventing fingerprint sensor from detecting touch while on display, always on display is active, and fix for issue where fingerprint enrollment may occasionally display visual glitches under certain conditions. So a lot of stuff pertaining to the lock screen. And if you've watched my previous video on the previous videos on the Pixel 6, you know one of the big disappointments and the big things that I pointed to, especially when talking about fingerprint performance, was the always on display. Well, I have it on this one. Look at this now. You can go back and forth like this all day. Super smooth, super responsive, knows when I'm about to hit the fingerprint, no problems with raise to wake, which is something else that they looked at when it's on the dimmer display and you raise to wake and it goes to the brighter one. If you're a Pixel 6 user, you know you'd have that glitch, that momentary freeze where it didn't know which screen it was going to be on. Was it going to be on the lock screen? Was it going to be on the always on display? Was it going to be dim? Was it time for when it raised up to be ready for a fingerprint, to be able to get right in? Those are gone. I'm not experiencing those glitches anymore, where you can see those flashes and flickers, and sometimes it wouldn't recognize your fingerprint if you did it too quickly, or if you caught it off guard, like if you were halfway in between something, and then you go ahead and you light it up, and then you go. Sometimes you wouldn't get it. Sometimes you get that glitch on the recognition of your fingerprint, of your thumbprint, and you'd have an issue there for a second. None of that right now. Super smooth experience. And when you pair that with the fact that right now, Amazon Renewed, link will be in the description, $263 for one of these. They are a year old. My experience with Amazon Renewed is when you're getting devices that are that new, over a year, just over a year, just under a year, you're getting returns, you're getting lease returns, you're getting all stuff that was babied and in relatively good condition. And a lot of times, like what I have with my LG Wing, even though I don't think that's going to be the case here, you're getting new old stock. So to have what I think is the best Pixel experience right now for that price point is a really good deal. And I got to be honest, I'm liking it more than my Pixel 7 Pro. I'm liking the experience here more. I think the display is a bit more vibrant than it is on my 7 Pro. I think my 7 Pro display is cold. I think it's a little dull. I like the colors better on here. I just like the overall, I like the form factor here. I think they took more of a swing with design. I think they were a bit bolder with the 6. They went a little safe with the 7 when they kind of rounded this out and cleaned it up a little bit. They made it more mass market appeal, which I get. I understand. they're allowed to do that. They kind of had to do that because they wanted to go mainstream with it. They had to prove that they could make a phone that was reliable. They had to prove that the problems with the Pixel 6 were in the past and they could kind of just make a phone that would just work and could compete against an iPhone for the Android side. They did that with the Pixel 7, but at a cost to some of that charm, some of that Google quirkiness. And Google the Google quirkiness is a double-edged sword. You want the Google quirkiness in terms of design and Pixel experience features. You don't want the Google quirkiness in terms of quality control, in terms of problems with the software, in terms of glitches. So you want to maintain some of that creativity and some of that uniqueness that they have with the Google devices, but you don't want the problems that come with that. So before, Google hadn't really proved that they could do that. The 7, while it proves that they can make a solid device that has relatively few problems, it kind of loses some of that charm to me. The Pixel 6 had the charm, it had the hardware, it had the spec, it just never quite matched up on performance. So talking about performance now, you're getting that near flagship experience with the Tensor chip. But now, remember we had those Android 13 when it first came out. I had to do that video with the bug fixes and the quick battery drain fix. Remember, we were going in to adaptive battery. People were turning off their adaptive batteries, all kinds of stuff with it. None of that stuff now. Adaptive preferences, people were messing around. You don't have to do any of that. When I got this December update and started using it, yesterday was over 7 hours of screen on time. Today, I think I could beat it. It's 2:48 right now. We're at 91%, and I've used this for close to an hour and a half. Which, do I think I'm going to get over 10 hours? No, I think there's going to be some balancing that happens there as we drain through the battery. But I am going to get over 7 hours of screen on time, and that's not the experience that I personally was having on my Pixel 6 when it first came out. You'd have to let me know about your experience below, but that was certainly not the phone that I got on release, but I am pleased to see it is the phone you're getting now. And if you're talking $263 for the 8 gigs of RAM, for the 90 hertz display, it's a 1080p display, but it's plenty nice. It's sharp. It doesn't get as bright as some of the competitors, but that's okay. If it's the only device you're using, you're not going to notice it. I do like this design. You're getting the Google camera. I understand on the Pixel 6 you're losing a lens, which is nice, and you're losing the 120 hertz. But we're talking $263 for a device that's going to be supported for years into the future, at least another 3 years. I think it's 4. But you're going to get that many updates of Android. You're going to get all the Pixel releases. You're going to get most of the feature drops because you have a Tensor. So not only is it the best experience in Pixel right now for me, it's also one of the best deals in Pixel. Fingerprint sensor issue, I like I said, I think a lot of that, or at least a portion of that, had to do with this always-on display. And the animation is just not being quite right. And now that they've cleaned that up with the December update, I've had excellent performance all around. It feels like a unified product. It was better at the end of its life cycle, or at the end of it being the flagship phone. They had improved it to the point where it was acceptable. It was a good experience for the price point. Now, it's a superior experience for the price point. And that's kind of what you wanted out of a Google phone. That's kind of what we were waiting for. That's kind of what I hoped the 7 was going to be, even though I know it probably wasn't going to be that, because I had to be safer with it. But now, having 400 plus days to work on the Pixel 6, it feels like they've finally gotten their own hardware, the Tensor, in line with the software experience that they were trying to produce, trying to give you. And the end user experience, which is something that we harped on, and something that I just would sit here and scream about, and people would worry about my blood pressure, because I was so annoyed by the fact that the Pixel experience had to be about the user experience, and when this phone first came out, it wasn't. Now it is. And now this is excellent. And I got to do stuff on other phones. I have to do updates on other phones. But it's going to be hard to pull my SIM out of this guy, because I'm really loving what you get for the price point, the battery life, and the performance. And I love this package. I love the flat display. Always loved the design. It was about the user experience for the Pixel 6. It was never about the design choices or the hardware that they've put in it. Let me know if you're still using your Pixel 6. Let me know if you gave up on it early. Not early. And listen, you had plenty of reasons to trade it in for a Pixel 7. Okay, you were getting silly incentives to ditch out of this and go into a 7. But if you held out, if you're somebody that still has your Pixel 6, if you're thinking about a Pixel and you're looking at the 6 and seeing those attractive deals, let me know down below. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.